Okay, as we do the assembly for the T9 Automa blocks, you want to make sure that you already have a folder on your desktop that includes the T9 parts. So somewhere on your desktop, have those T9 parts. Put those into your student drive. That will make it easier to access them later on if you don't finish this the first time. So the first thing that we want to do is we're going to do an assembly of just the main pieces of the car, which are the bed, the front, and the passenger section of this. So I'm going to bring out the passenger section and place that in my assembly. So I'm going to go to place, passenger section, and then I'm going to go to place the bed, and then place the front. So I've got those three pieces of my Automa blocks car here. So what I want to do is hook these up correctly so that they are together like in sort of an order like this, all lined up nice, neat, and flush. Now we don't have all of the parts here. We're not going to use the connectors in the middle, the green parts. What we're going to simply do is put these together for our purposes today. So we're going to use constrain, and we have mate or flush as we did with our puzzle back a while ago, and we're going to hook those up. So pay attention to the grooves that are on the sides, and those are going to be one of the ways that we know which way is up and which way is down. I'm going to start by doing a flush, or a mate rather, a mate between the middle, the passenger section, and the back. Now that doesn't line them up, but that gets us started. So go ahead and click apply. And we're going to flush now the tops of both of these. And we're going to flush the sides of both of them. And okay. Now those should be all together hooked right, and that looks good. Now we're going to do the same for the front of the car. So we're going to constrain, and we're going to mate the inside faces. Make sure you're getting the right surfaces so that they are hooked together properly. Then we're going to flush the sides. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to flush the bottoms. Now this should be all fully assembled. So that's looking pretty good. We're going to actually save this. Go to Save As. Save this into your student drive in your T9 folder that you created. And this is going to be the body of T9. Alright, so once we've got that saved, we're actually going to create a new assembly. Close this one. And we're going to create a new assembly. This is going to be of all of the tire parts. The tire, the wheel, and the axle together. I'm going to bring an axle in, and then I'm going to place a wheel. And finally, I'm going to place a tire. Now, with these three parts here, we're going to assemble them to create the next part. Now, this is the one that we can use over and over again since there are 4 of these. We're going to use these, we're going to make this once and then put this assembly into the other assembly. So I'm going to hook these up together here. First, the axle with the wheel. Now this part right here that has these ridges on it goes into the body of the car, so I'm going to make sure I don't go on that. What I'm going to do is assemble the axle and the wheel here. And we're going to go to constraint on that, and we're going to change to an insert. An insert is a way that we can put the axle into the wheel here. It goes for round parts. And so we're going to select on the edge of the axle a circle here. Can be any of the ones that are right along this edge here of the circle, so we can assemble that wheel fully in. Now we have 2 different types here, just like we had mate and flush. Now we have opposed and aligned. I'm going to do opposed to start, see how that works. And I want it to slide into the back part of the wheel here. And that's the way that we like it. Works out nice with that wheel thing right nestled up against the axle there. Go ahead and click apply. Then we're going to do the same thing with the tire. Now, this one didn't line up the way we wanted it to this time. So instead of using the opposed, let's try the aligned, and that fits the way we want. So we click apply. Now we're going to save this one into our T9 parts. We have the body of the T9. Now we're going to have the wheel and axle. And save that. Whenever you see this, do you want to save its dependents? Especially if the save status is no, say yes to all, and then OK. Okay. So that should be in good shape now. I'm going to close this one. We're going to create a new assembly. A new assembly, and we're going to use the body and the wheel and axle that we did before. So we're going to use this body of the T9 as the first part of our assembly, and we can place that. Now, this is what we call a sub-assembly. We have assembled one thing, and then we can use that over and over again. I'm going to place the wheel and axle now. And since we need 4 of those, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, and 4 of those in there. Now we're going to insert the axles into the body here. So we're going to use the constraint, insert, zoom in a little bit here so we can see I do indeed want this part of the axle because that'll line it up right up against the body and the hole there, and apply that. And do the same up at the front. And apply. I'm going to take a quick look from the top here to see if that seems to be lining up right, and that's good. We want that axle is going to stick out just a little bit with that edge of the flange there that is on the axle. I'm going to do the other side here. So I'm going to insert those parts to the other side here. And you can do them in either order. And apply that. Now the only thing we're missing from this is the windshield. So we're going to place and find the windshield in here. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We're missing the passenger base and the windshield. So we're going to place the passenger base. I'm going to go ahead and bring the windshield in while I'm at it, because I will need that. Now we're going to insert this passenger base into the body here. So this one's a little bit trickier, but that's okay, we can do that. We want the bottom of this flat edge, so I'm going to zoom in so I can see it closely, and we're going to do a mate on one of the flat edges of this cutout. So zoom in so you can see it and get it on the face there. And that goes into the front section here, the passenger section, and line that up. And that's good. Now, the tricky part then is to make sure that we have the rest of it lined up. So one of the problems we have, at least I have, maybe you don't, is that it didn't go in there the correct orientation. So I need to reorient it. And so this is one of the things you have to look at, is which side touches which side. So I'm going to try to start with mating this side here, that face there, with this face over here. And that worked pretty good, but then I noticed that it is sticking out either edge, so that's not the one I want. So instead of clicking apply, I'm going to click cancel. I'm going to try this again, and I'm going to mate. Kind of zoom in so I can see this edge here, that face. I'm going to make this face. Now we're going to make that the back of the inside little passenger section here. That there. Apply that. I'm going to cancel so I can slide this around a little bit. I'm going to slide that so that I can get to this edge over on this side here. And I'm going to mate this face here, rotate my part with this side over here, and click apply. Take a look at that, and that fits in there much better. Excellent. So the last bit will be the windshield here. Again, we have to be sort of careful that we get the right bits of the windshield. So I want this flat edge here. I'm going to mate that with the very top of the car here, and that lines those up. I'm going to apply that. Now the next bit here is going to be a little bit trickier because we don't have necessarily clear defined edges. But I think the easiest way to go about this is to use the inside ridges on our windshield on the inside of the passenger section. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to click this flat on that ridge on the passenger section, and that actually goes to the back of the passenger section from the windshield. That'll turn that around. And that's good. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to slide that over some so I can see that the edges that I need. And I'm going to constrain and do a mate. Zoom in so I can see what I want. And I want this flat edge of that ridge that would be sticking out a little bit from our windshield. You have to rotate a little bit. Zoom out. And find the flat edge of the other side and click OK. So when it's all done, the assembly of the T9 should look like this. To check your T9, grab any part, click and drag it, and the whole part should move with you. The other way that we can do is we can then ground a part. We're going to ground the body of the T9 with a right click on that, click grounded, and now nothing should move with one exception, and that would be the wheel and axle. Those should rotate around their spots. That concludes the assembly of the T9.